Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 20, the dynasty of Puru, texts 14 and 15. 14 has no purport, so first I read the text 14 and then we will chant together 15. O king, with eyes like the petals of a lotus, kindly come sit down and accept whatever reception we can offer. We have supply of Nivara rice that you may kindly take, and if you so desire, stay here without hesitation. Text 15. Please repeat. Shri Dusmanta Uvacha Upapannam Idam Subhru Jhataya Kushika Anvaye Swayam Hi Vranute Rajham Kanyakaha Sadrasham Varam Sri Dushmanta Vacha Upapannam Idam Subhru Jataya Kushikanvaye Swayam Hibernate Rajam Kanyaka Sadrasham Varam. Sri Dushmanta Vacha. King Dushmanta replied, Upapannam, just befitting your position. Idam, this. Subhru, O Shakuntala, with beautiful eyebrows. Jhataya, because of your birth. Kushika Anvaye, in the family of Vishwamitra. Swayam, personally. He, indeed. Vranate, select. Rajnam, of a royal family. Kanyakaha, daughters. Sadrasham, an equal level. Varam, husbands. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Translation. King Dushmanta replied, O Shakuntala, with beautiful eyebrows, you have taken your birth in the family of a great saint, Vishwamitra, and your reception is quite worthy of your family. Aside from this, the daughters of a king generally select their own husbands. Purport. In her receptions of Maharaj Dushmanta, Shakuntala clearly said, Your Majesty may stay here, and you may accept whatever reception I can offer. Thus, she indicated that she wanted Maharaj Dushmanta as her husband. As far as Maharaj Dushmanta was concerned, he desired Shakuntala as his wife from the very beginning. As soon as he saw her, so the agreement to unite as husband and wife was natural. To induce Shakuntala to accept the marriage, Maharaja Dushmanta reminded her that as the daughter of a king, she could select her husband in an open assembly. In the history of Aryan civilization, there have been many instances in which famous princes have selected their husbands in open competitions. For example, it was in such a competition that Sita Devi accepted Lord Ramachandra as her husband and that Draupadi accepted Arjuna, and there are many other instances. So marriage is by agreement or by selecting one's own husband in an open competition is allowed. There are 8 kinds of marriages, of which marriage by agreement is called Gandharva marriage. Generally, the parents select the husband or wife for their daughter or son. But Gandharva marriage takes place by personal selection. Still, although marriage by personal selection or by agreement took place in the past, we find no such things as divorce by disagreement. Of course, divorce by disagreement took place among low-class men, but marriage by agreement was found even in the very highest classes, especially in the royal Kshatriya families. Maharaja Dushmanta's acceptance of Shakuntala as his wife was sanctioned by Vedic culture. How the marriage took place is described in the next verse. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Parashatya Deshatharini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Dushmanta Uvacha Upapannam Idam Shubhru Jhataya Kushikanvaye Swayam Hi Birnate Rajnam Kanyaka Sadrushambaram. King Dushmanta replied, O Shakuntala, with beautiful eyebrows, you have taken your birth in the family of your great saint Vishwamitra, and your reception is quite worthy of your family. Aside from this, the daughters of a king generally select their own husbands. So we continue to hear the dynasty of Puru. So now we heard before that how Shakuntala born and she left in the forest, then Kanva Muni took care of her, and then now the Dushmanta, the king, met her in the forest, and the conversation is going on. So they each other attracted, we understand from these verses. And so they propose each other, they agreeing to get married. So before going to the purport, I'd like to just one line purport commentary given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I just read it. Knowing from her words, what can I do for you? That she was attracted to him. He says, her words were suitable. So, because Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur translates the verse slightly different from Srila Prabhupada's translation. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur translates as follows. King Tushanta replied, O woman with beautiful eyebrows, you have taken your birth in the family of Vishwamitra, and your words are suitable to your family. So Prabhupada translates that your reception is quite worthy of your family. And here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says your words are suitable. I mean, it's not big difference, but it's slightly different. So therefore, in the purport, I mean, his commentary, he says that the words are suitable because in the translation itself, he translates like that. So the point is that each other they attracted by asking very politely, what can I do for you? Means she's, responding to him that, so, okay, I'm also interested to get married to you. And so that's one small point. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining about these marriage systems. Several places, Srila Prabhupada, wherever we come across about this Draupadi marriage or Lord Krishna marriage to Rukmini, all these places wherever Srila Prabhupada similar points repeats that the different marriage system and there are particularly Srila Prabhupada without missing this point of especially this whenever he mentions in his books or in his lecture about Krishna and Rukmini marriage, he speaks about this marriage system, this because Krishna kidnapped Rukmini to get married. So that is also is approved one. So because sometimes people may think, what is this? Somebody just come and snatch the girl and go away. Modern days people it's difficult to understand these things. They think this is something wrong. But for Kshatriya, it's not for everyone is allowed also. And there are here also similar points, especially the Gandharva marriage also is explained by Srila Prabhupada. So last night I was trying to prepare for this class and interestingly I found same incident that Dushmanta and Shakuntala meeting in the forest. This section in Mahabharata. So Mahabharata is slightly differently is given. I just read a small section. Is in Adi Parva. So now King Tushanta saying that judging from your words, fine lady, it is very clear that you are actually a king's daughter. Become my wife. O maiden of lovely hips, just tell me what can I do for you. On this very day I shall bring you garlands of gold, the finest garments, earrings and anklets and glowing gems from many different countries. O most beautiful woman, I shall bring you lockets and bracelets and precious skins. Just be my wife, lovely girl. And this is very day, let me entire kingdom be yours. My dear shy one, the Gandharva marriage, which takes place out of love without consulting the parents, is considered the best form of wedlock for men and women of royal class. Therefore, O beautiful one, with lovely thighs as soft and round as a banana tree, come to me by the Gandharva rite. So, how he very nicely he puts that is similar to last chapter when Devyani and King Yayati also, when they met each other, and then, then King Yayati was considering, he was hesitating that, whether she is a Kshatriya woman or, if she is Brahmana girl, then how can I marry? And, then she started to explain, all the past, there is no harm in this is divine arrangement, like that. So similarly now, he's not in that kind of mixed marriage, but still he's making sure that she don't refuse him, that because she is also daughter of a king and I am Kshatriya, so among the Kshatriya boy and girl, this Gandharva marriage is approved in the Vedic system. So that's the point. And then Shakuntala said, this is from Mahabharata, "Dear king, my father has just now gone from the hermitage to gather some fruit. Please wait short time and he will personally bestow me upon you." Then again Dushmanta said, "O innocent girl, O shapely form, I want you to accept me. Know that I stand here only for you. For my mind already has gone to you. One must be true friend to oneself. For everyone must achieve his own goal in life. Therefore, by the laws of God, you should give yourself to me now." Then Dushmanta goes on speaking. He says, "After all, religious codes recognize 8 kinds of marriages." Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport 8 kinds of marriage. So here, Dushmanta himself is saying what are these 8 kinds of marriage. Brahma, Daiva, Arsha, Prajapatya, Asura, Gandharva, Rakshasa, and Paishacha. These are 8 kind of marriage. So I found elsewhere what are these marriages. Brahma, the first kind of marriage means fathers gives her daughter with a sacred water to a bachelor without accepting anything in return. This is first kind of marriage. It's called Brahma. And then when the father gives his daughter to the priest at the time of a yajna, is called Daiva. It is Arsha if the father gives the daughter and gets return a cow or bullock. When the father gives the daughter with her blessings, it is Prajapatya. The marriage between 2 lovers is Gandharva. It is Asura when the male takes his mate by force. So then he continues that Manu, the Brahma's son, has described the relative virtues of these different forms of marriage. And he states that the first 4 are recommended for Brahmanas. You should also know that the first 6 are considered proper for those in the royal order or faultless one. O fatherless one, O fatherless one, for kings, even the Rakshasa marriage is approved, and the Asura marriage is authorized for Vaishya and Sudras. Of the five, three are proper and two improper. The Vaishya and Asura marriage are never to be practiced by those in royal order. It is by following these rules that we know our duty and the proper means of practicing virtue. Please, don't worry. I assure you that for kings, the Gandharva and Rakshasa marriage are perfectly in accord with religious principles, either separately or in combination. Both forms of marriage may be performed. There is thus no doubt about it. O lovely lady, I desire you, and you also desire me now by your own choice. Please be my wife by Gandharva marriage. So he explained all, different system of marriage, and then, for what is for Brahmana, what is for Kshatriya, what is for other caste, and then, so, is very nicely explained. Is in the Shastras. Is given what are the marriage system, and there is no doubt about it. It's very clear. It's approved one, so we can marry like that. So that is the explanation given by Dushmanta. And also, Srila Prabhupada in the purport is pointing out that even though in the Vedic system, the Gandharva marriage, which is, without parents' arrangement, the boy and girl, they themselves choose by love, and they unite, and that get married. That is also is approved. But Prabhupada makes very important point that, of course, divorce by disagreement, before that I read. Still, although marriage by personal selection or by agreement took place in the past, we find no such things as a divorce by disagreement. So that was very important point. Someone may argue, because we very often criticize that today the society is just by external look, especially nowadays, the modern days, they have so many, this matrimony site is there, and people go and just look the photograph, and then, you don't know whether this photograph is real photograph or is made it in the Photoshop. Some people do that also, In the Photoshop, you can make it more beautiful than as you are, more than. And then people, when they meet each other, then they get shocked, and then problem comes. Before marriage, divorce. So those kind of people may argue, see, in the past also that, love marriages were there. But the marriage means in the past, everyone had a very clear understanding that marriage is for the procreation, for the, developing the, dynasty, to get the, good children and to have a good dynasty, the lineage to continue. And they felt so much responsibility. They, really were not separating. Even any difficulty situation comes, we see in Mahabharata that Nala Damayanti and different cases we see, even that's very, very difficult situation. Women never leaves men, or man never gives up the, woman, wife. Whatever the difficult situation, they take care of each other. They stay together till last breath of their life, or till they go to the next order, like vanaprastha and then slowly sannyas. So that was the system. Srila Prabhupada himself narrates in one of his lecture in Bombay. He saw on the road, there is a man who got an accident and some all body limbs were, disassembled, and he was not able to even walk. And he was on the wheel, on the wheels, it's not even chair. It's like this is some small wooden, piece, and then there is a wheel, and he was moving with that. And he noticed next to him the lady who is, his wife, is standing and helping him. And Prabhupada amazingly noticed one thing, that his clothes were very clean. Even though he is begging, living by begging, but his clothes were very clean. And Prabhupada points out that even though the husband his bodily limbs are completely dislocated and he is not looking good and he is begging, but the wife did not leave him. Wife was looking good. She could just go with another man and live, so-called happy life. And Prabhupada points out, you see, she is taking her husband still, even though he is begging, his clothes are clean. So that was system Prabhupada has seen. It's not long back. But nowadays, it's very, very difficult to find such couples because they don't want to take responsibility. So, in the Vedic system, there is all these different kind of marriages were there. Prabhupada speaks many places several places about Krishna married Rukmini and different others. In this purport also Prabhupada mentions. But they all followed the law given by the Shastra. Not just have like modern days, they simply they have an agreement just for their sense gratification. So the majority of the marriage takes place, nowadays is based on simply physical attraction and sexual compatibility. And therefore, any small disturbance or anything happen, or, women get a little fat and, she loses her beauty, then immediately man is not anymore interested with her. And in the Vedic culture, everybody knows even though sex is allowed within the marriage, but that should be restricted. Dharma virito bhuteshu, kamoshmi paradarshava. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that the lust which is within this, dharma, that's Krishna himself, he says. So, if unrestricted sex is there, the man or woman, they lose their respect. If man is so much, wants to have unrestricted sex, then women doesn't respect him anymore. Same thing, vice versa also. Therefore, even if man has more sexual desire. In the past, he gets married more than one wife, but still, it's not just all day you just go on engage in the sex and, indulge and then so-called enjoyment. It's not possible, first of all. And second thing, if you do, then you lose your, respect. Especially in Kshatriya, the people, they think that king has many wives and he's just all day enjoying. Not like that. There is very limited time, very restricted way he has to. Otherwise, the queen, the women, they won't respect the king. If a woman, if she doesn't respect the ministers, they won't respect the king. The minister they don't respect, then all citizens will not respect. Like today, you can see any nonsense fellow can comment on the chief minister, prime minister, the president, and everybody. In social media is very common. So badly they commenting. Why? Because they don't have any respect for these leaders. Because the leaders themselves, they are not sense controlled. You see, this is how it works. This is if you are sense control, if you are restrict yourself, and then no problem. But leaders themselves, they are looting, they are themselves, trying to grab as much as possible all the wealth for their family, and then people don't respect. Practically we see. So Srila Prabhupada says that in the present time the degradation in the marriage institution is there because too much mingling between men and women. Even within the marriage also, you can't just all day mingle with women. Especially in the past, there is a joint family were there. And in the family means minimum 20 to 30 people were there. Big family. And, you have a very limited time. You are allowed to be with your wife. You can't just all day. But nowadays, all are nuclear family. Just husband and wife. They don't want any children. And they want to live separately. They don't want even with their own parents. What to speak of other, uncles, that, so many other relatives. Grandparents, they don't want. So whole day what they do in the apartment, they just two of them, each other, looking each other, then mingling too much, and then you become like animal. So animals, they don't have marriage institution. People today also want to follow same thing. They don't want to get married. Live-in relationship is everywhere, is very common now. Even in India is spreading. So, but Prabhupada say that the monkeys naturally has a more urge for sex than men. But it doesn't mean that, having more sex, you become advanced. But man thinks that more I enjoy sensual enjoyment and the more I am advanced. But that's completely, you degrade yourself. It's not really is advancement. So, and not only that, Prabhupada very often says in the West especially, the man is, they just going to one after another women and trying to enjoy. But this is all, in the beginning, you may feel some sense pleasure. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Vishayendriya samyoga yatatagre rathopamam. Pariname visham iva. In the beginning, It may have some, pleasure, sense pleasure, but later it becomes visham, the poison. So, because it's based on the Rajagunam, Sukham Rajasam Smritam, that by bodily attraction is just, like to enjoy the sex. Srila Prabhupada very nicely explained in that verse in 1839 in the purport. A young man, a young woman meet, and the senses drive to young man to see her, to touch her and have a sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end, or after some time, it becomes just like poison. They are separated, or there is divorce, there is lamentation, there is sorrow, etc. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and sense objects is always cause of distress and should be avoided by all means. So in the Shastra, nowhere is encouraged to, develop any relationship just based on sense gratification. It always says the sense enjoyment is limited. Adhyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. The intelligent person will not indulge in sense gratification, which is kind of the beginning and end. There is no one can enjoy. Srila Prabhupada many times say, monkeys, pigeons, they can enjoy more than men, much more than the man, the sexual intercourse. But doesn't mean they are advanced. But men, unfortunately, they think this is the advancement. So, the human life should be restricted in everything. Eating, sleeping, mating, everything there is, limit is there. For example, Prabhupada very often he says, sleeping also, more than 6 hours means tamaguna. It's not necessary. So people now, they think more sleep, more enjoyment. They think, if holiday, they're so happy. So because all day they can sleep, they don't have to go for the job. They wait for the weekend, just, and Friday night comes and then, Saturday, Sunday, I can sleep all day. That becomes so pleasurable thing, sleeping all day. But for devotees, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Even for movement, avyartha kalatvam, even a moment of time they don't want to waste. Because their life is meant for self-realization. Every single moment they want to engage in Krishna service. So many times Prabhupada's disciples, especially personal servants, they had a very difficulty. One thing that Prabhupada could just call any time in the midnight or, early in the morning, anytime his servants ring the bell, and many times the personal servant, they used to sleep, then Prabhupada would scold them, why you are sleeping? Oh, Prabhupada, jet lag. Oh, Prabhupada, I'm tired, too much traveling. And Prabhupada would say, I'm also traveled. I am more older than you. I am not retired. I am translating. I am writing books. Why you are sleeping? You see, this is important. We have to control the senses. That is the point. And Srila Prabhupada not only teaching to his devotees, his followers, and for public, and also he is giving very good suggestion how to make the society very, peaceful and happy society. He gives a lot of suggestion in his books for the leaders. In one section in Bhagavatam first canto, where the Parikshit Maharaj is punishing Kali, in that section, in one purport, Prabhupada is writing that all the executive heads of the state should follow the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit. So he says that they should see that the heads, means the leaders of the society's duty, see that all the religious principles are followed. Austerity, cleanliness, mercy, truthfulness should be taken care and established in the state. These things should be followed. And the principles of religion, namely pride, illicit female association or prostitution, intoxication and falsity, are checked by all means. And very interestingly related to this purpose, he gives a suggestion to the leaders that there must be compulsory marriage of young boys and girls attaining 24 years of age and 16 years of age, respectively. There is no harm in co-education in the schools and colleges, provided the boys and girls are duly married. And in case there is any intimate connection between the male and female student, they should be married properly without illicit relation. The Divorce Act is encouraging prostitution and this should be abolished. You see, so clear. If you just, if the leaders, if they just follow this, of course, he gives also for other, religious principles for ahimsa and other things also he gives. If the leaders just follow these instructions and the society, you can just, even if you imagine, it looks so good, just even if you are not in that situation, just it will be so good. Even for thinking, it's so pleasing for mind. Imagine that there is no any illicit sex, no any, divorce, there is no any problem in the family. If everything is very nice, who will not like it? Everybody will like it. But the leaders, unfortunately, they don't want this kind of society because they themselves is corrupted. They think that, how I will get. If the people follow the religious principles, then I will not be able to be a leader because they will not select me. Therefore, they don't want, people follow anything good. Otherwise, everyone knows, obviously, the alcohol is very bad for the society. The smoking, they put so much advertisement, they spent crores of rupees to advertise that the smoking is injurious to the health. They make movies, they print the posters, they put in each and every packet of cigarettes, and then so many ways they advertise it. But why not just one law banned? Make it easy. Save all the money, save the people, but they don't want. Why? Because these companies are giving the biggest money for running the government. Right? So this is the problem. So, Prabhupada writes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the third canto, and purport, that when a man becomes qualitatively like the cats and dogs, he forgets his duties in cultivating spiritual values. Because the animals, they know only eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. Ahara, nidra, bhayamatam, the four things. They know only sense gratification. They don't know anything else. They don't realize that what is the goal of life. And thus, he accepts his wife as a sense gratificatory agent. When the wife is accepted as a sense gratificatory agent, personal sense gratification, there is disruption or divorce. But when husband and wife aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, there is no consideration of personal beauty or disruption of so-called love. In the material world, there is no question of love. Marriage is actually a duty performed in the mutual cooperation is directed in the authoritative scriptures for spiritual advancement. Therefore, marriage is essential in order to avoid the life of cats and dogs, who are not meant for spiritual enlightenment. It's a very nice point. Marriage is a very good thing. And people, they don't want today at all. Even if they perform any marriage, and is with some nonsense agreement. Recently, there was a short video was going viral. In North India, there was some marriage. The boy and girl came together and they put some agreement. And they print out, this huge printout in all their agreements, and they were signing in front of everybody, all the relatives and everyone. And they made a video and they, make it viral. The agreement looks crazy. The one of the agreement is that every 15 days, husband should take the wife for shopping. Compulsory. And no force to wear sari. Man should not force her to wear the sari in the social, gatherings, this kind of, there's so many other crazy things were there. I don't want to even mention. You see, this kind of agreement, okay, in the past also there is an agreement was there in the royal family, but not like that. So much more people were responsible. They took care of each other. And they lived for spiritual advancement. If there is no question of spiritual advancement in whatever the ashram you live, but then it becomes, useless. Your life becomes useless. So devotees, at least who are practicing Krishna consciousness, who are listening to Prabhupada, who are reading Prabhupada's books, should follow this much, the marriage institution should not just go for some so-called love marriage and this, that, they should try to follow, this instruction. If you don't follow, then how others will follow and how you will be happy at all. If anything, you go against the law of, God, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The law is established by the Lord. And if you go against it, and 100% is sure that you will not be happy. Anybody, anything you see that if anyone is, not following the laws of God, and they are not happy. In the modern society, everyone breaking the law of God. And therefore everyone is unhappy. So when we come to the spiritual life, we should follow. When Guru says no, and then it's no, means it's no. No other consideration. Devotee was attracted to a girl. She was also devotee. She was also practicing. and they were doing service together, and then, the physical attraction was there. And then Guru came to know that, they are going to get married. Guru called the devotee and he warned him that don't marry her. It's not good for you. If you want to marry, you marry any other girl than this girl. Because it is just simply based on physical attraction. Guru warned him. And he did not listen. Then the all rest of life is like a hell. They are suffering like anything. Even though they are in the association of devotee, even though, they are practicing somewhat Krishna conscious, but they are not happy. The result, the children become completely very, how to say, I don't want to describe, but the thing is, the family is not happy. Children are not happy. They cannot become normal. The children are not normal children, they are. Because all day they quarrel, fight each other, husband and wife. And the children grown from the childhood by seeing the father and mother is all day beating each other and crying and all that. Children become abnormal. They're scared. They don't want to see anybody. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want, they become completely abnormal children. So imagine if society goes on like this, then what will happen? So therefore, Prabhupada say, if we just follow what Scripture says, then most of the problems are solved. Actually, if you just follow the society, like if you see the description, Yudhishthira Maharaj's time and Parikshit Maharaj, when they were ruling, the society was so happy. People were, everything flourishing very nicely. And nobody was, having so much problem like now. Why? Because everybody was dharmic. They follow the dharma. So, Prabhupada has given us so much knowledge about this marriage and other things, because even though Prabhupada provided the brahmacharya ashram, sannyas ashram and all, but very few people are able to follow those. But most of the devotees go to the grihastha ashram, but they should understand what is the meaning of grihastha ashram, what is the goal of the grihastha ashram, then they try to follow the instruction given by Srila Prabhupada. And then at least devotees, family should follow this. Then really we can do something for the rest of the society. Hare Krishna. So I stop here. If there are any question or comment. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।